My name is Hadi Rahmad, so I'm from What's Halal. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer. Basically what I do in What's Halal is focusing on the commercial aspect, agreement, legal aspect of What's Halal, and my primary duties is to actually focus on the internationalization plan for What's Halal when it comes to this region. Halal Tech is basically technology in the halal industry that focuses on facilitating, improving, simplifying usage of halal product and services. Alright, so What's Halal gathers and shares information that it gathers from its multiple platforms. Thus, when you gather this information, you do need to actually ensure the credibility and assurance on that set of data. So What's Halal decides to actually put a blockchain layer on it. So blockchain is merely just to put a security layer. Thus, when you share this data, it becomes of higher credibility lah. So that's how we actually use blockchain in our system. So I can sum it up with two main points lah. First is basically halal itself and the understanding of the market. So let me start with the first one. Halal may have a religious connotation to it. So as a Muslim myself, I do understand why we need to share it to the community. But the challenge is how we actually package it, right? So if you were to say in a nutshell, halal is about clean, ethical and beneficial. If you were to go in this angle, it's widely acceptable and easier to digest. But if you were to go on the top of like fikir, on that angle, it may be too much for a person to consume at one time or during one sitting. So that is basically the first challenge: compartmentalizing or sharing halal in a nicer, sensible way to the consumer. So that's the first. So for the second point is about understanding the market. So one of the challenge when you are doing in entrepreneurship or in business is basically when you reside in one country itself, you tend to have a certain kind of understanding of the kind of persona that you want to have for your consumer, right? But the persona shift when you actually exit your country. In countries, especially when you talk about halal, there's the fear of Islam, the Islamophobia. So understanding that nuances, you must strategize your business in accordance to it. So in a typical business, there's always the B2B or the B2C or the B2G, right? So in countries where there may be a higher chance of blowback because you enter from one angle, re-strategize how you want to enter. Maybe in a country, it's much easier to enter B2C first. Please go ahead before you enter to B2B, kind of thing. So, or maybe it's much easier to go through the government level. So understanding the market and understanding the nuances about halal is very critical, especially you are dwelling in the halal technology industry. The community needs to understand and realize is to redefine the definition of entrepreneurship lah. Because entrepreneurship is being sold right now like a commodity. So everyone wants it, everyone will find means and ways to get it, and then have their LinkedIn profile saying that they are an entrepreneur, right? So the challenge with that is because the reality is far from that. Sacrifices, losses, mental, fatigue, physical fatigue. You are no longer a social butterfly. You are seen as someone who shy away from social punya kind of gathering kind of thing. So there's a lot of things that apabila you have that entrepreneurship or you want to set up to that journey, there's a lot of things that you need to take note of. So redefine the definition of entrepreneurship. That's first. Secondly, is to be mentally, physically and spiritually ready. Because everyone will have that passion, everyone will have that goal. The only question is how long? What do I need to sacrifice? Because the sacrifice becomes real, ikat perut. So Gary did say, if you want to go into entrepreneurship in a life, be prepared to ikat perut for 15 years, which is a reality, right? If you do not know how to save or choose what you need rather than what you want, forget about being an entrepreneur, right? If you have a family, mindset needs to be built to fortify that mindset, your kids, your wife, your family members, right? So there's the spirit, there's the mental, and there's the physical one. Spirit, I guess, as a Muslim itself, what is the main reason? Kenapa? What is your perjuangan? If you can clearly define your perjuangan and set forth a certain feasible milestones, inshallah Allah will pull through, right? Especially you're doing halal, right? So technology is there, but when you talk about halal, there's certain limitations that you cannot go like any other industry. Thirdly, I guess the challenge is the community itself, kerana at this juncture the community is not ready to accept failures. It is not so much of just the Muslim community, but the community at large. Kalau kita were to have time to visit or read or view people in the Silicon Valley, diorang meraihkan failure, because the only way how you know you're moving forward is basically failing lah. Tetapi konsep, the Asian mindset of failure is a challenge, right? So one, the community needs to change how they raihkan entrepreneur. So let them fail, push them to go up to the next level and then run again, right? And I guess these three main points is basically what I would like to share to entrepreneur lah.